A warm welcome to all of you on this 34th virtual meetup by the Test Drive. And we have two speakers today. We have Komal, who is a QA manager, and Deepika, who is a software engineer at IF. Uh, Huge shout out to Brother Stack, our annual sponsor for all our community events and exclusive sponsor for all our conferences, exclusive premier sponsor. And it's due to companies like Brother Stack that we are able to do so many of these events at scale without any cost to our community members. About us, we started in 2018 with a mission to give the testing craft the glory it deserves. We believe in creating, and we take pride in that rather, in solving for upskilling and growth for global testing professionals through our unique offering like memberships, courses, cohorts, offline meetups, online community spaces, and a lot of global events. We have done about 400 plus software testing events, which includes conferences, hackathons, meetups, webinars, and a lot of other community initiatives. We have reached a global footprint of about 120K plus testers from 130 plus countries. In one line, we intend to provide life altering growth to every single testing professional on the planet through community and technology. That's what we intend to do. Where we are, like I mentioned, this is what it is. A final circle. So we are doing so. A lot of you might have heard about final circle, right? A lot of you might have heard about this. But we're doing a specific event on what final circle is, why is it needed, and how it can solve your problems. So we're doing a specific event. This is a 1 hour webinar on 23rd of this month. This starts from 8:30 p.m. IST to will go about for 1 hour. So if you're keen, let's just join this one, and I'll put up a link after this and share it with you. Recently, we also released the software testing salary report, the India edition, uh, uh, wherein we had a sample size of about 1100 plus. It has critical insights into software tester salaries to make informed career decisions, understand industry trends, tackle challenges, and unlock opportunities. I believe a lot of you have already downloaded this. If not, you can scan this QR. My team will put a link on the chat. And we have seen close to 1500 downloads already, and people from at all levels across all over the world are downloading this report. We're doing a workshop on design patterns for testers. Design patterns, a lot of you might have learned this already, but some of you might still be learning. This gives your automation frameworks the stability they deserve. And this is happening next weekend with Ranish, who is doing this as the third batch, not the first batch, not the second batch, but the third batch. He's a lead QA at Adobe and is very solid when it comes to design patterns. And we're also doing a boot camp on AI-driven testing and automation. This is a 4-week boot camp which happens every weekend, and on AI-driven testing and automation, QS Leap Forward. And this is by Vignesh. A lot of you might have learned from Vignesh, playwright, might have heard his talks. He's a solid instructor again, and I'll put up a poll after this for both the workshop, and if you're keen, just let us know. Okay, you can also join the community on Discord, and you can always follow us on LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. Now, the first speaker for today is Komal, who was a QA manager at Clover Bay Technologies, and she's a self-driven QA quality evangelist with a decade of industry experience, a good friend, and somebody who is always keen to learn, and who's a very active member of our community, of TTT community, of Final Circle community. Yeah, so with that, let me just welcome Komal on stage. Hi Komal, you are on stage now.
Hi, Ashutosh. Thank you for the introduction.
Yeah. So, folks, we can give a virtual applause to Komal. There is a reactions button here. You can just clap, or we can send a thumbs up. I think that will motivate her to let's her start well. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see a lot of familiar people here who have joined today. So
Yeah.
that's good.
Yeah. Yeah. So with that, the stage is yours, Komal. You can start screen sharing. I'll put myself off stage.
Sure. Thanks,
Yeah.
Ashutosh. Folks, you just let me know once you can see my screen, and I have a presentation up. Yes. Okay, I have to see the chat visible now. Okay, good. Okay, so I just want to start with a notion. So many a times we see that our tests are failed, or automation scripts have failed because of the assumptions that is there for the state of our application, right? And this makes essentially test data management a challenge, and it is a challenge also when the data itself is like a very dynamic and it is inconsistent, right? So, yeah, so my name is Komal, and welcome to Test Tribe Virtual Meetup. Thank you for your participation. So, I have over a decade of experience in software testing. So, I work with QA teams, making sure it meets your application meets the user requirements, and also ensuring that it is resilient to any unexpectations, right? So today's session, I'm going to share some perspectives that I have found it useful. Um, so these are some of the techniques that I have used myself and found it useful. So using LLMs, right? So we'll see how we can use LLMs in order to generate the test data. And I'm really looking forward to connect with you all and exchange ideas and share some knowledge. So really excited about this, and let's have fun. Um, so let's dive in, okay? So first thing first, what is test data, right? I have this question for everyone. So anyone can unmute themselves and um, say it out. Like, it's not a trick question, it's just simple. What is the test data?
Deepika, people cannot unmute. This is not like Zoom where they can just say, so they have to put in chat. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, let me go to the chat then. Mm, yeah, data required to test a functionality. Yes, you're absolutely right. So as simple as that, anything you would test, right? Data that you would test. So this is the definition I've got, data which has been specifically identified for use in tests, right? So this we are clear. So I have this great example. It's a meme. So where two Spider-Mans are pointing at each other. They are like, "Hey, you're copying me," and the other one is saying, "Hey, you're mimicking me." So basically, the idea is so your test data should look and act exactly same compared to your live or real data, right? That we use. So I found this meme to be like exactly apt for this talk today. So yeah, so live your test data should look exactly and like behave compared to your real data, so that your application continues to behave as per how it is should be, right? So that's the whole idea behind it. So coming to the test data challenge that we have here, I just want to highlight few things here. Um, so um, so coming to the growing complexities that we have today compared to the applications that we had a few years ago, it keeps increasing. The data structure keeps getting complex day by day, right? So if we have to test different applications, and there are different things that you want to test in those applications, and then For that, you would require different bunch of different test data sets, right? So if we look at different applications, let's say there are some regular apps which take the data which is very static. There is no much changes. User enters some data there, or and then it is stored, and then some calculation is done, and that's it, right? There's no change there. It's very easy to deal with. So these are the applications wherein there is no different calls that is being made or different services. There is no calls between different services, right? Just normal regular apps. You can take a simple calculator as well. So but if we take one step further and let's talk about some of the smarter apps that we have today that deals with different calls and services behind the like backend that's going on. And but still these are the applications which don't deal with dynamic data, in the sense the data doesn't change much. For example, there's an application which takes the user account registration, the user details, the user fills all the details, first name, email, phone number, all those things, and then there is a call that is being made, and and it is being stored, right? And if we want to load the same data, we have to just log in, and then we'll be able to fetch that data, right? So really simple to deal with, but it can get complex. It can become tedious if the data structure itself is complex, and it might become difficult to organize it, right? And then there are applications which has data that constantly changes, very very dynamic. Example, LinkedIn, Twitter. You can see the feed of these home pages keeps changing every minute, every second, or across devices also. Like on desktop it is something, and then mobile, same user when logs in it's something else. So there is time variation. And when it comes to automation of these applications, it becomes a nightmare sometimes because the data keeps changing, right? It is very inconsistent. I mean, it's not always the case, but it might be one of the situation that we might have to deal with, right? So these are the some of the challenges that we are seeing nowadays, right? And other key points pain points that I want to highlight here is when it comes to data generation, we have to take care about the privacy of the users. We cannot just copy all the data of the production data, right? We have to maintain that we have to ensure that there is a data anonymization, so that we comply to the GDPR rules, or there are other compliance regulatories that we have to adhere to, right? And also it's whenever we are generating this synthetic data, it has to be accurate. It's just it has to uh, if we cannot use real data, at least it has to be realistic, right? It has to resemble the real world patterns. And also the other pain point that we see here is in terms of generating the large data sets, right? If we have to scale it up, and then that is also an issue. So today we have this opportunity with LLMs like ChatGPT that we can use. They are very powerful probabilistic text generators, and with right prompting, they are very much capable of generating the diverse test data for various scenarios. And not only generating it, if we have to transform it, right? So transforming the existing data to meet specific requirements, even that is we can achieve, is what I have found it. So in order to see how we can use LLMs in order to generate the test data, there are few things that we need to understand first. So um, there are few prompting tactics that I think there are many guides and tutorials out there with respect to prompt engineering. And if you want me to share, I can at the end of the session I can share some resources for these prompt engineering guides. So with those tactics in place, and using those tactics is what we can see how we can generate the data, right? So some of these tactics that I want to highlight here that I have used it today is one first one is using delimiters. So delimiters, let's say if we are writing prompts, so prompts usually has different sections, right? Maybe at the starting of the prompt, we are defining what we want LLM to do, right? What is it? What is the context? What is it we want our LLM to do? And maybe at the end of the prompt, we share some kind of raw data to process it so that it has all the context, right? So using delimiter helps in defining those rules for different parts of the prompt so that it's easy. So everything is probability, right? For LLM, it's everything is a guesswork. So in order for LLM to guess our intention right, so making use of these delimiters helps that understanding, getting that clarity and specifying that rules to the LLM. So I'll share, I'll give exactly how we are going to do this in next few minutes. But this is one of the tactics that we are going to use. Sorry. So that is delimiters. So delimiters are just characters like percentage, star, hash, right? So that's how it is. And then the second tactic that we are going to use is asking for the structured output. So we all know that these LLMs are very much powerful whenever in terms of generating the output that is very well structured, right? But if we don't specify or if you want the output to be in specific format, right? So we have to explicitly ask for it in our prompt that, hey, we are looking for this required format, which is example JSON, right? So that is another one. And third one is check for assumptions. So check for assumptions. Why? Because there has been, you all have been seeing that sometimes these LLMs, they hallucinate, they don't they maybe they don't connect to the real world, they assume things, right? So in order to avoid that hallucination, so one of the tactic that prompt engineering specifies is to specifically mention, ask for like in order before generating any output, you ask LLM to check that, validate that, verify that before it can provide results, right? So for example, check that 5 JSON objects have been created before it outputs. So if we specify that, then we are sure that it just for whatever the first round of verification that is required, we are asking LLM to do itself, right? So this is one of the tactic, so that whenever we get the output, it is consistent, it does not change, right? And another one, the last one, which is few shot prompting. So few shot prompting, it's like we are giving LLM some examples, so to work with what is the structure or the format that we are looking at, right? So few here refers to number of examples that you want to share with LLM for it to process. if it was zero examples, then it would call as zero short prompting. So sometimes, in order to be clear, it is always a good idea, because we are all dealing with data here, which is very sensitive and which has to be accurate. So it's always a good idea to follow this few short prompting technique, right? So these are four techniques that we are going to apply today whenever we are coming up with the prompts. Next thing that we need to understand, even before we want to generate the test data, is to understand the data requirements, right? Whenever we say that we want to generate the test data, we have two options: either copy it directly, and sometimes it's okay to copy it. Maybe there are applications which are not very strict, and it doesn't matter. It's okay to copy and it works and there are no issue. That's fine, completely fine. But whenever we have to fake it or generate it, so we need to understand the different data requirements that are there. And there are three things that we need to keep in mind. That is, one is the data structure. So data structure in the sense, what does your data, like what does it look like, whether it is a JSON format, whether it is a YAML or XML, what is it, right? And what are the objects of those, and what are the objects and what are the contents of those objects. So all those things we need to understand that. And also data restrictions, right? So what are the different enforcements or restrictions that are there, if we have to generate, right? Usually these enforcements are by your backend that it throws, or these are some of the rules that your data has to enforce, right? So these restrictions, usually you will get it from your product owner or developer. So yeah. And then once we generate it has to make sense also, right? So let's say, for example, there is a field for date, and then we all assume that it might be a good idea to use date format in year, month, and day. But what our application expected was in day, month, and year, right? So whatever those data that we are generating, it has to make sense to our application as well. So keeping these two things in mind, one is prompting techniques and another one is data requirements. Let's see how we are going to use our LLMs to generate the data sets for us, right? This is the first example that I would like to show you all. Let's say this is a simple JSON data, right? You might have all come across. It's a data for booking a room. It accepts certain inputs, which are like first name, last name, email, room name, type, right? And beds. So it's there are I'm not saying this is the only way to generate it. I mean, there are different plugins available. In Cypress there is a Faker plugin wherein you can use that, integrate that along with your framework, and then use that to generate all the data. But all the data that is generated is usually random, right? Sometimes it's okay to use that, it might make sense to our application, but most of the times there are different rules, there are different restrictions, or there are different relationships between the data attribute, between the different field attributes, right? For example, this is the data restriction for this particular JSON data, which is like first name has to be of, like, it has to be string, right? It has to be maximum these many characters, minimum these many characters. Or let's say the room name it has to be string, and it only accept these different options, right? Which is deluxe, cozy suit. It cannot accept any other name or value. And let's say there are dependencies. Now this room type, right, single, and room name, it depends upon the room price, right? So we cannot just put any random price for any random room. So it is dependent. Your room type is dependent on your room price. So these are different relations that are usually there, that we see in our real world applications. These are the restrictions that we see usually, right? So mm, keeping
Yeah,
this.
Komal, just one question, okay? When you get time, when you get a break next, or when you get a topic change, I think somebody wants you to repeat data restriction. Saurav wants you to repeat because there was some network latency is at his end. So if you could repeat data restriction after some time, let's say in the end, or we can repeat data restriction.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Yeah, I'll just reiterate few of the things which are important, right? So what we have seen so far is there is a example JSON data, right? And there are data restrictions to that data. So we are going to see how we are going to generate a prompt following the tactics and keeping all these data requirements in place, right? So we are specifying that we are specifying what format we want, which is a JSON, right? You are a JSON data generator, and you are generating 5 JSON objects. Now I want to create 5 JSON objects similar to whatever we saw here, right? And then we are also using some of the tactics here, which is delimiter tactic. To specify different rules, let's say we want for the first name, the rule is it has to be string, and the rule is it has to be realistic and meaningful, right? Not some random uh, alpha things. So X, Y, Z, like that. So we want that to be meaningful, right? And it has to be maximum and minimum characters within this limit. And so in order to mention that everything in a prompt, right? So using this delimiter tactic, we specify those rules, and for different attributes of your data structure, right? So, and we are also mentioning what kind of format we are looking, right? First, it has to be in this order itself. So that also we are mentioning, and then we are also mentioning different rules that are there, right? As I said, the room has to be dependent on the beds, number of beds, and the room price. So all those dependencies and relationship that is there, we have mentioned it in our prompt. So this is the prompt, entire prompt we have built it. So and it's this way, it's very easy to configure things. Let's say tomorrow something is added, something is removed, or let's say the data type and format has been changed. It's very easy to change or modify or reconfigure this, and then rework your prompt to generate the data, right? So if I go to my LLM, right? So this is the project I've created. So this is the prompt. I sent it to ChatGPT, whatever the prompt we saw just now, and it gave me this 5 JSON objects that we wanted it to generate, right? So if you can observe here, so wherever we have explicitly mentioned the rules and the formats, it has exactly or accurately given us the output. But if you see some of the attributes like image, right? So it is still a valid URL, but it doesn't really specify. It doesn't really map to the room that is there, right? It is just random URL, right? So if you want to further tweak it, so we have to again, like if you want this to be accurate, we can further tweak our prompt and put that all the define that rules for those image URL, and then it's easy to deal with it, right? So this way, following the tactics and keeping all the requirements in place, we have to some extent generated the required output, right? And if you're happy, that's fine. If you're not happy, again, you have to still tweak your prompt. So this way it's very easy to generate. Here there are 5. Tomorrow if you want to generate 10, 100, you can easily do that. And every time it is new data, and let's say within this format and within this order, if we want to generate an invalid data, right, and still want to see how our application is going to behave in those lines, with respect to that data, that also we can easily test. So it aids us in testing or doing any activities related to testing. Okay. So let's say, what if we need a different data structure, right? So LLMs are very much flexible in terms of generating the test data in multiple formats. So slightly reworking our initial prompt, we can produce the same data, but this time in XML, right? So all we have to do is, instead of saying it's a JSON, you're a JSON generator, you're just mentioning changed it to XML, right? And then you can just keep everything same, and then apply the same data restrictions, and this time you're going to get the result in XML format. If I have to show that to you, it you can see it has generated the same thing in XML format. I'm not saying ki this might be a real world use case wherein you're using the different data formats within the application, but keeping this prompt, you can keep all these prompts ready to tweak it to whatever the data format output you are looking at, right? And you can easily share this across different teams, or reuse it for different scenarios. Okay, so till now we have seen about generating the test data. So another powerful ability of LLMs is to translate the translation, right? So translating the data. So for example, if we have anything in French content and if you want to convert it into English, right? So all those translation capabilities that are there with LLMs, so why not use that capability to you in our test data organization or management, right? So let's see that as an example. Okay. So before I move, right, so I just want to see, is this all making sense to you all? You can just, I would like to take some questions if you have till now for generating the data.
Yeah, there is this one question from Rajneesh. He's asking this uh, this question. Is this data generation, we can do this in free version of ChatGPT also, or does it need a paid version?
Yeah, you can use it in the free version as well. As far as like we have all the techniques that we have seen so far, right? We apply that to generate the output. As far as you do that, you can easily get all the accurate output. Yes.
Got it. Yeah. Any other
Okay.
questions, people? Please feel free to use Q&A tab so that we can, yeah, attempt the questions. Okay.
Okay. Cool. So So we have seen generating it, right? So I was talking about the transforming the data. For example, we want to see how, let's say we want to transform or convert the JSON into SQL, right, to store it in our DB. So we can easily again do that with using this prompt. We are specifying what format we want, which is JSON to SQL transformer. Convert that JSON object. Again, we are using the delimiter tactic here by triple hashes into SQL statement. We're also making sure there are no assumptions that we want our LLM to uh, we don't want LLM to assume things, so that we say that check that each SQL statement covers all aspects of the JSON before it can output the results. And also make sure if the table does not exist, we want it to be there, right? So this is the prompt that we send it out. We have so this is the different JSON that we have, and we want this to be now stored it in the DB. So for that we have to convert that into an SQL statement, right? So we can easily do that with LLM. That is transforming it from JSON to SQL, right? So it has given you those SQL statements. It is also giving you both create statements and insert statements in case the table does not exist, right? And also you can see that it has very much successfully transformed. Everything is in place, like if the data is related to Sally, and the other columns for that particular record, right, it goes and falls into the exact same place, so that the transformation it does very beautifully. So we need not worry about that, right? So this is an like this might be one of the use case when it comes to test data management, and you can easily do that using the transformation capability of LLMs. Okay. Yeah. So what we have seen so far is rapid test data generation using this prompts. Use this prompts, reuse this prompts, and use that for all your testing activities, right? So it has really helped me, and I'm sure it is going to help you all if you follow all this techniques that we have seen so far. And I mean, I've also used this for exploratory testing. I mean, this is a topic that we can take up. It's a very big, I mean, it's a topic for another day, but I've used it for exploratory testing to create diverse data sets, right? And also in order to debug, right? So let's say quickly we want to generate a test data, so that we want to debug, right? And you can give this prompts to your developers, and they can also usually developers are behind testers to create, to give to asking us to generate or to share the test data, so that they can do their debugging or testing, right? So you can share all these things with them, and then they can do the debugging easily, right? So saves a lot of time. So yeah. So what we have seen so far, again, it requires, it might be a use case and it might work for you all, but what if it's a complex data, right? What if what we have seen that we have to explicitly mention the rules that are there, like the string, this field has to be string, this field has to be integer, this field has to be boolean. So all those things we have to explicitly mention it in our prompts, right? And it was like it has to be it has to rely on us to decode the data structure and what are the different relationships that are there. So what if we want to still go ahead and like avoid all this manual work? So in that case, we can leverage the um, data specification formats like OpenAPI and XSD to outline these data structures and rules, right? So these are the specifications that usually exist, or these are the specifications that different projects or different companies that follow when they are coming up with the design of the application, right, or design of any feature. They usually follow the standard formats, which is OpenAPI. So why use this specification formats? Because in our prompts, because these prompts or these frameworks are already they already have all the data types and the rules and the relationships, and why to reinvent the wheel, right? So these are the ready to go solutions, so why not use that in our prompts? And then second reason why we have to adopt is to, because these are the things that has been widely used by everyone, and it's a high chance that LLMs have been trained on these standard frameworks. And then as I mentioned, these are often available within your teams whenever you are during your feature or application design. And then LLMs are when you use all these standard formats, it's a high chance that whatever the output you get, it's accurate, right? And it does make sense to your application. So let's look at an example. Let's say there's a JSON with OpenAPI. We want to generate a JSON, right? And using this OpenAPI specification or schema. So as I mentioned, we are following the same tactics, which is we have mentioned the format. We have mentioned what we are also mentioning that you have to follow the OpenAPI schema. And then there is this delimiter tactic we have mentioned. We have also put the few short prompting, which is we are providing the LLM with some schema to work with, so that it guesses right what is the expectations that we are looking at, right? So these kind of requirements, you usually get it in your requirements, or if not, you can just use that and replace it with all your attributes that are there, right? And you can see if I apply this, right, this time I have not mentioned any rules and restrictions. I've just mentioned that it's an you have to follow the OpenAPI schema. And then if I go back to my chat GPT here, okay, so I've given that, and you can see it has generated the exact accurate data that we were looking at without any rules mentioned. And it is exactly the same that we had worked, that the prompt that we had worked earlier, and the prompt that we have used here, by just mentioning it as open API schema, right? So this way, it's very easy to do that. So this was an example with JSON, and similarly you can do it for XML. You can mention that it's an XSD schema, and then this time you have to generate the output in XML format, and this is the schema you have to follow, and different attributes that are there, and you're outlining it, and then giving it as a prompt. And then if you see, if I go back here, um, not here, XML with XSD. So it's exactly the same that we were looking at, just by mentioning the schema here, and without any rules that we have to, it is been already been taken care. Okay. Okay, another challenge. I showed you all how we can easily transform from JSON to SQL, but it's not always that we are all dealing with one single tables, right? There are multiple tables. There are different dependencies. There is foreign primary key dependencies, right? So, what if we want to generate or distribute the data across different tables? Right, so we can easily do that. Again, we have to just mention and follow that technique that we just saw. I'm just giving you all these examples. It's just so whatever is your requirement, right, for in order to generate the test data, all you have to do is follow those techniques, prompting techniques, right? Format and delimiter, and then check for assumption. Follow that few short prompting techniques, and then you can easily generate the data that is there, right? So here I want to create tables or insert data into these tables. One is the table one is rooms, and then the table two is bookings, right? So rooms table has different attributes like room name, type, beds, right? And then it has also a column called room ID, right? And then there is a second table for bookings, which has booking ID, and then it has also the room ID, which is related to your which is a foreign key referencing to the table rooms, which has room ID, right? So if we have to do that, so we can still go ahead and do that and distribute the data across different tables, right? So, and we are just making sure that if it is not there, then it's going to create it in the first place, and it is going to give you those prompts to insert the data into your DB. Um, So this is the multi-table that we saw. So as you can see, it has created the two tables, and then it has inserted all the records, and then it has gone and created the bookings table, and then it has inserted the exact data that was there for the room ID into the bookings table that is there here, room ID 2341, and then same thing. Okay. So yeah, that is what we have seen. So last example that I've never worked with some of these dynamic applications which are like social media driven, like LinkedIn and Twitter, but I think we can very well use this LLMs to generate the dynamic data. All we have to do is understand the data, test data requirement, understand what is the scenarios, right? So let's say if we have to use that for LinkedIn, we can very well use this different prompts, like if we have to generate the test data for different fields of the LinkedIn: name, headline, summary, or 5 skills, so we can easily do that. And let's say if you want to simulate dynamic activity, let's say we have to generate the sample 10 sample post for LinkedIn, one particular LinkedIn user, and which has different unique titles, descriptions, and engagement metrics. All those things we can easily simulate or generate it using these prompting techniques that are there. And also, as I mentioned, usually real world applications, they have different relationships and context. They are context driven data, so we can follow all those like we can keep all those things in mind and then generate the data set accordingly. So that is what I wanted to talk today. So this is the image I want to highlight today and show you all. It's from the book called Software Testing Using Gen AI. It's by Mark Winter Hingham, and he mentions that. if we have to look at the role of humans and AI, right? It's our ability. It's our abilities that to do all the initial analysis or initial data requirement analysis or decoding the all the data structure, and then coming up with the instructions for LLMs, and then LLMs, we can leverage the abilities of LLMs to generate the data that we want to work with, right? So yeah, so I think this is what I wanted to cover today. Any questions you have, just ask,
Yeah.
and you all can connect with me on LinkedIn on this QR code.
Yeah. Komal, can you hear me?
Yeah, yes, Ashutosh.
So yeah, I think we can stop sharing now. We have a few questions which we need to take. Cool. So this is a question. People, you can upvote the questions so that I can take the most popular ones first, and then this. Okay. So this is from Prabhuram. He's asking this question that how does the approach scale when testing systems requiring millions of records instead of five JSON objects? Can LLMs be still be viable? What's your opinion on this?
Yeah, so it's not that you're going to generate all those millions of data at one go, right? You will split that out in different batches, and that's how we are going to generate it. It depends upon your LLM's capability and what kind of model you are using, right? I think you can still, as far as as I mentioned, if you follow all those techniques, and then if you follow if you are clear with your data requirements, right, then you can get the accurate results. So now scaling part, I've never got a requirement to do it for millions of data, but I think to some extent, like hundreds and 200s, you can easily do that, is what I have experienced and explored. But you can go ahead and explore yourself.
Got it. This is a question from Saurabh. Okay, this I'll put on stream. I'm using a prompt with the API and getting generic test data, but I noticed after some time, created data is not so accurate. What are your thoughts on this? And this is
Yeah,
also
so
answered by background. So yeah.
yes. To make it more accurate, better use advanced prompt techniques. Yeah, so as Deepika mentioned, right, and we have also seen today. So you have to use this prompting techniques, like if it is not making sense, if it is not accurate, and if you want LLMs to always generate the accurate every time, each and every time, you need to give some kind of a raw data or example data for it to work with, so that it has all the context and so that it can guess it correctly, right? So yeah, I think Deepika has already answered.
Yeah. So the next question is from
Ujjwal.
done Saurabh. This is from Ujjwal. Yeah. So I'll put on stream again. So whatever the test data is generated through prompt, we have to manually copy paste the results, or is there any way to fetch the results directly into the code? What's your thought on this?
So you can, in order to, so what we have seen today is we have generated it, right? We have only seen the generation part. If you have to manage it, right, you can make use of this open AI. They share the keys, and then you can integrate along with your framework, and then you can easily generate, like create the data within your framework itself. So that integration, it's easy to do. You have to just pay for it. I think it's $5 something starting with, and it depends upon your model as well. But if that is something that you can afford, then you can easily integrate it in order to like manage and automatically, okay, instead of fetching it directly into your framework.
Got it. I think we have one more question. I think let's end this here because we have another session. So I think thank you so much, Komal, for this session. I think we found it really helpful. We've had good attendance in this one. So folks, while we share the feedback form in the end, in the meantime, if you can share your feedback to Komal right away through emojis or through chat messages, I think it'll give her motivation to keep sharing more here. Yeah.
Thanks,
So
Ashutosh, and thanks for the opportunity today.
no worries, no worries. Always there. So yeah, I remove